What's going on, guys? My name is ATF Cobra, and today I wanted to put two guns together. Both guns are in the carbine class, or in the engineer class, the G36C and the A-91. The A-91 is starting to pop up as one of those popular guns, and so is the G36C. I've been killed a bunch of times with both guns, and I just started wondering why they're so good and why I'm getting killed mostly from them. So I started using them and figured out exactly why they're so good. Now, if you look at the stats for these two guns, they're, almost similar and just as good. The A-91 has a 800 round per minute fire rate, while the G36C has 750, which makes it a little bit easier to control. And the G36C does have a high initial first shot recoil, and then all the other recoil. It's mostly low and very low. The recoil is very easy to control on the G36C, as it's only slightly up and slightly to the left and slightly to the right. As with the A-91, it's a little bit up as was 0.28 up, 0.3 left and right, so it's not too bad. It's almost the same as the G36C. Now, the only thing that separates these two guns is the actual spread and the side-to-side recoil. The A-91 has a lot of side-to-side recoil, which makes this gun a little bit harder to use. It feels on par with the AUG. The AUG has the most side-to-side recoil, or the most spread for recoil, and which makes the gun unbearable to use sometimes, because when you're just point blank on target, you're hitting your enemy and you're missing shots. It can be very frustrating, which I kind of find a lot with the A-91. That's why I try to stick to the G36C. And also, the cosmetic effects in this game are pretty good as well. Like for the G36C, when you're running around with it, it looks like you have nothing in hand. It looks like you're running a little bit faster. Mentally, that could help you in most cases when you're rushing, so you don't feel like you're a total. But it is all in the mind, it's all in the head, while the A-91 does take up most of your screen and most of your real estate, and it will kind of feel as if you're a little bit slower. But these are only cosmetic and only in your mind. Now, these two guns are fairly easy to actually put together, and you could look at the stats and they'll have almost the same time to kill. I mean, the A-91 does have a higher muzzle velocity than the G36C at 500, while the G36C has 420. Basically, muzzle velocity is the speed that the bullet does come out of the gun. So basically, your enemies that are running from side to side, or when you're trying to hit a target that is moving, the more muzzle velocity you have, or the faster your muzzle velocity, the easier it is for you to hit that enemy. Now, that's not to say that you're going to struggle with the G36C. You're still going to be able to get those shots, and because the recoil is very easy for the G36C, it makes those moving targets a lot easier to hit, while the A-91, I feel like sometimes I struggle hitting moving targets because of the initial recoil and the spread of the gun. Now, also, if you do change the attachments, these guns do change drastically, especially with the heavy barrel, which, if you guys do actually kind of put them side to side and take a look at which one has better spread, it's still, you're going to get a better and tighter spread when you're shooting with the G36B, because the A-91 does have way too much side-to-side recoil. And if you guys will check Cintiq.com, I'll leave the description below. You'll see all the stats and where I'm putting all this information from. And also, the time to kill, basically, for each gun is about the same. And they have the same damage as well. Mostly all carbines have the same damage, with 25 maximum and 14.3 minimum. And the drop-off starts at 8, and the drop-off ends at 75 meters, which is not too bad as well for both guns. Now, the spread when you're running, and the hip fire for both guns are almost the same. You'll have a little bit better hip fire with the A-91 than you would the G36C, but still, they're both really good. Even though sometimes I'll attach their laser sight onto most of my guns, it's to keep me basically from using the foregrip. I feel like the foregrip, it feels like it's doing a good job or helping you win a lot of gunfights, when it's kind of giving you a penalty and you're kind of not using every attachment to its advantage. I feel like ever since that patch where they did actually give you an aim down sight penalty for using the foregrip, it feels like the only gun that is good for now is the guns that have a lot of side-to-side recoil, such as the A-91. Now the G36C does not have a lot of side-to-side recoil. It just has that initial vertical recoil, and that's about it. You'll barely feel any of the recoil tugging anywhere else. But as far as firing these guns as well, another thing that you guys do have to pay attention to, the G36C, you could kind of, just go fully automatic. But with the A-91, because of the side-to-side recoil, you have to shoot in controlled bursts, especially at long range. It can be very accurate, but you're going to start missing a lot of shots if you go fully automatic. And for both of these guns, I use just about the same attachments. For the G36C, for sight, I use the red dot, or I'll use the holographic sight. They're not too bad. And for the A-91, I'll use the Cobra sight, and that's about it. You can also use the iron sights for the A-91 because they're fairly easy to use, and when you start off using the gun, it's very easy. But as far as the G36C, it's a pain in the butt because it's very difficult to see exactly, because it's just a little dot in the middle, just almost like the FAMAS. And sometimes I wish iron sights weren't exactly how they're being portrayed in the video game, to try to be as realistic as possible in real life, because it makes just unlocking every other attachment for it just even more of a pain. And plus, it's a video game, not all things need to be realistic. But anyways, both of these guns are on par with each other. But if you'd had to choose a gun to go with, I would definitely choose the G36C. It fares in medium and close range gunfights. It's very good and useful. Decent fire rate, along with the A-91. Reload speeds are on par with each other. They're not too slow, except for the A-91 does have a little bit longer reload. But as far as stats, they're just almost the same. They feel almost the same, except for the spread. And these are two great guns that I really recommend that you guys go out and try. And G36C, overall, I would choose it over the A-91 just because it's easier to manage and easier to handle. Hopefully you guys did enjoy the video. It's been your boy TF Cobra. Peace.